already.
Oh, thank you so much,
Okay.
sir. Thanks for joining
You
us
can
on
hear me?
the
Yes, we're having problem
program
here.
this
They
evening,
took
sir.
light.
And we're happy to
They
have
took
you
light, and
finally on
I'm
the
trying
show.
to. I'm trying to get
Many of
control
our
another. It's
viewers
okay.
would have been on this platform, but some of them have
Yes.
actually left. So we have to reach out to them for some couple of minutes, sir.
Recall them. Recall
We
them.
would be
Recall
glad
them.
if you could
Because
give us the opportunity.
no problem. No problem.
Yes, sir.
No problem. Yeah, we have put the generator on now, and we have put petrol. So, hello.
Yes, sir. We are hearing you, sir.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Hear you, sir.
We are
Okay.
trying to reach out to some of those who would like to join us on the show.
Yeah, let's start. They can join as we go because I'm using kerosene and
Okay,
petrol
sir.
here.
Okay, sir. We'd
I'm
have
using
to start
generator
right
here.
away then. So
Yeah.
we are happy, we are elated, and we feel privileged to have you on the show this evening, sir.
Thank
And
you.
you are someone we so much admired owing to many of the records you have, especially within the Nigerian setting. Apart from the fact that you've done something unprecedented in the history of our country, you happen to be the first professor in journalism, especially in Nigeria. And apart from that, you actually fit into a world organization that we so much respect owing to how unprecedented it is, because you are one of the forces controlling our journalism realm and industry outside the country, and we did. So we want to specially appreciate you for many of those beautiful contributions to our collective history and to history as well, because we've done a lot to actually impact our generation and generations before us. So thank you so much for joining us on the platform this evening, sir. We want to specially appreciate you.
I have honored to join you. Sorry for the mix-up.
Yes, sir. So
We have to put on
without
generator
wasting much of your
petrol.
time, we would like to just launch directly into the gala of the interview. I want to specially appreciate you as well uh, for engaging us via a video. Unfortunately, we might not be able to talk to you via our own video into the fact that we encountered some technical issues, but we are trying to fix them so that we'll be able to as well see you directly. But we are proud of the fact that we could talk to you and at the same time see you, sir. So to start with, sir, without wasting much of our time, we would like to ask a question. And this question is actually in respect to what you've consistently done to add value to mass communication and journalism as a whole. And we'd like to learn from your story because we've read a lot of things online. We've watched some of your interviews. We've seen some of the ideas you've shared on the social media. And but this is just a platform for us to talk directly to you in respect to many of those things that you've done. So, sir, I would like to ask you to just take us through your background and trajectory as a journalist, because we like to know how you started and how you developed your interest in journalism. And we like to learn from your story, sir. We would like to take us through that in the next couple
of minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Professor Rav Akinfeleye, and I am a professor of journalism and mass communication, and the former chair and head, Department of Mass Communication, University of Lagos, Fuka. Currently, I am the African representative on the Council of the World Journalism Education Congress. I am representing Africa on that council. There are 6 of us from all the 6 continents of the world. And we are meeting in several places, starting from Singapore to South Africa to Brazil. From Brazil, we went to New Zealand, the end of the world. We were supposed to have been to China last year, but because of COVID-19, it is postponed. And the next meeting will be held next year or so in Australia. So we hope to go to Australia.
Wow.
And I come from a city in Nigeria, from the Sunshine State. The city I call it a city that is naturally fortified with stones, rocks, and mountains. And I call it the capital of the universe.
Wow.
And that city is called Idari in the Sunshine State. And I went to the First World School of Journalism at the University of Missouri, Columbia, Missouri. The University of Missouri is the first university in the world to over formal degree program in mass communication. And we're very proud of that school, the Missouri School. And then, how did I get interested in mass communication? I got interested in journalism, mass communication when I just left secondary school. We engaged in
Yes, sir.
in a competition at the United States Consulate Office in Lagos. In that competition, I was lucky to have been selected as the first winner. And as the first winner, they gave me a book, and I will never forget the name of the book. The book is titled Exploring Journalism. As soon as I got that book, I started reading it. What is journalism? What can journalists do? How can they add value, glamour, and color to the society where they belong? Initially, I was to be a pilot. I like flying. And as soon as I get this book reading, so I deviated from being a pilot. So I changed my flight to being journalism educator. And then when I finished my journalism school degree, I think before that I was very popular in Missouri because I was the only black man in my class. All the others were white. So they called me Ralph. I was very popular. And so when I finished, I thought it is important for me to come home and add value to journalism practice in this country. So I didn't waste time after my doctoral degree. The following week, I was airborne. I got 3 jobs in Nigeria. During that time, they would come to US and recruit. I got a job in the Ministry of External Affairs. I got a job, I think it was Dunlop, and I got a job at the university. The university was the one paying the least. So I discussed with my cousin. I started to take the one in the university. So I came to the University of Lagos and started teaching journalism. And when I got there, I noticed that they were doing what I call narrow casting. In fact, when I got it, they were doing what I call nothing casting. And they were giving degrees in broadcasting. So I told them that we have to change it. So we started from nothing casting to narrow casting and eventually to broadcasting. And that's what led me into being the arrowhead to get the first campus radio like 103.1 FM for University of Lagos in 2022. And by 2017, we were able to get the first campus television station, that's Unilag Television, making the University of Lagos the first campus in Nigeria to have a radio station, 103.1 FM, and the first campus station to have a television. We were given a DSTV, direct satellite broadcast television, and we started broadcasting on 2017. And the other person that came next to us is Bayero University under the tutorship of Professor Omar Pate. So they have license to operate television, but they have not started. But we're the only one that has television license, and we have started. It took me a long time and so much hassle, both political, regional, and international politics to get the license for Unilag. And the NBC and others were saying, Unilag, we are the first to get radio license. Why Unilag again for television? And I told them, why not Unilag? I don't engage myself in failure, so I continue to push. To the extent that some of my colleagues told the Vice Chancellor, Professor Bello, that this is what deceiving you. Government said they will not issue out television license. But I don't take failure. I come to push. Until about 4 or 5 Director General of NBC came to the University of Lagos to inspect our facilities, and they were very happy with us. And what I did was to apply for a World Bank. I got a grant. We competed with about 19 universities and polytechnics in this country, and we got a grant, a World Bank grant of 5 million USD. At that time, it was about 1 billion naira. So, in terms of equipment and facilities, we did not lay our hands on any money. They were the one who brought the equipment, the studio, and everything for us. And for information, from that fund, we were able to build the standard television studio. We were able to have about 14 high-definition cameras for the studio. We were able to have the first, what they call the moving camera, that's red camera, which is a sophisticated type of camera who can take and be used for movie. So have a red camera. And I was able also to have the first campus OB van for our television and for our radio. So from that fund, we were well equipped. So as soon as they gave us the license to operate television, it was not very difficult for us to have equipment. So we now use that equipment and set up what they call the University of Lagos Multimedia Center of Excellence in cinematography, and we started our program. I want to also give kudos to our brother, the guru in advertising publishing in this country, Uncle Beodun Sobanjo, who in his wisdom gave us a building, very magnificent building, to house the Multimedia Center of Excellence, including our radio and television, free of charge. It was more than 200 something million naira I spent in that episode. So we started broadcasting, and as you are aware, we have a regulator, Nigerian Broadcasting Commission, National Broadcasting Commission. They keep on telling us that as a radio, we cannot advertise. They keep on telling us we should limit our broadcast within the campus. And I told them we have 3 campuses. One in Idiaraba, first one in Akoka, second one in Idiaraba, the third one in Yaba. And we have some of our staff residing in Magudu. So they need to get information. So after putting that together, NBC grants us the permission to be on the air. So we came on the air and we have been broadcasting. And they said we should advertise. We should advertise. This is how do we survive? They wanted us to pay license fees of 10 million. I told them this is for research and for training of our students. So therefore I pleaded. So they gave us a waiver. And so for the newer, we have to pay only 1 million. While commercial station pay 10 million. So we are given the chance to pay 1 million license. In getting the license for radio, it was not easy. We need also to thank former Director General of NBC, that's Alhaji Danladi Bako, who was the Director General during that period. And also was thank President Obasanjo also, who was the president at that time. We have been applying through the successive regimes, and the government said no, they cannot give license to university because they will use for Aluta. And by the grace of God, when Danladi became the DG apparently, Ladi Bako was our student in Unilag. He came to pursue a master's degree in mass communication. I was his teacher. So, likes of Reiko and Delia Laki, they were in the same class. So it became the DJ, and I told him, well, I need license for radio. And many times he said, no, no show, no show, no show, no show. I continued to push. So when the Ladi Bako became the DJ, one afternoon, he just called me. He said, Prof, breaking news. I said, what's the breaking news? He said, President Obasanjo has just signed the first campus radio station, that's Unilag FM. And that his paper is with me on his table. I said, what? Can you repeat it? I heard it, but I wanted to record it. He said, do you think we have been given license? I said, yes. How did it come about? When people said we couldn't get license, and in fact, the security people advised the government not to give us because they are going to use valuta. So the Ladi now told me that when you are working with President Obasanjo, you have to study him like a book. So one afternoon, he just called him to discuss some other issues. And so when he got to him, he studied him, his mood was very peaceful and cordial. After finishing with the subject matter, as he was trying to leave the office of the president, he said, Mr. President, sir, this issue of license, radio license for University of Lagos is pending. And he asked us, where is it? It's on your table, sir. If you can sign, that'd be nice. So the Ladi Bako told me that it's on his table. He said, Dan Ladi, they will use it to abuse me. So they can it. So Dan Ladi now told Papa Obasanjo, no, sir, they will not use it to abuse you. We have the gadget in Glass House in Lagos. That was the headquarters. If you're saying something stupid about government, they don't need to put Kakoka.
If I could come in, sir.
They don't need to contact Kakoka, but they just press a machine and they will be off the air. And bring it. I've sent this. That's how I send our license for radio.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
On sending the license for radio, I quickly went to the Vice Chancellor. I said, we got license. What do we do? He said, what can we do? I said, well, Mr. Vice Chancellor, what we need to do is, first of all, to go write the president and thank him for approving the license. I said also we need to have a world press conference where we can thank the federal government and the like. In doing so, I went to FRCN. There was one of the directors there, one of our former students. They have a mask that they are not using. I said, can you give us this mask and donate it? He said, yes. So I put it in the speech of the VC that in furtherance of the license, the federal government has also asked FRCN to give us a mask to kickstart our program. And then they clap for us and we send a letter to Obasanjo. And then we now started broadcasting. Then the television one is funny. When we applied for television, people were not happy with us. They thought we were going beyond our reach on radio. And if they give us television, we will go wild. And then they gave us information at NBC and the query, and I went there to tell them, listen, the mask you gave us was instructed and constructed and put on the 11th floor of the Senate. And our Senate is facing Lagoon. And when there's no blockage, so when the weather is clear, you can hear Radio Unilag far away beyond Lagos.
Wow.
And since I'm not an engineer, I cannot padlock the air, Mr. NBC. I cannot padlock the air. So then they started giving us wahala until I said, well, why can we tackle this NBC? So we form an association called Association of Campus Radio and Television Station with Lagos, University of Lagos, the headquarters. Because of experiment, very successful experiment, we now have 54 campus radio and television stations in Nigeria. And the headquarters is in Lagos. And I'm currently the president of the association. And when we want to fight NBC, we just don't go as a university or as an individual. We go as a group. and they were been able to service some new stations who have been embarrassed by NBC or by their vice chancellor trying to use it as instrument as public relations instrument in the vice chancellor's office. When he said no, the campus radio is supposed to be used to teach journalism students and allied discipline like theater arts and the like, and engineering to repair some of the equipment.
Please, sir, if I could call him Prof, I would like to ask a question.
Go ahead,
Because
please.
you talked about the fact that there's this massive increase in the number of radio stations across the country, and we've discovered that in Ibadan
Yes.
alone there are many radio stations.
Yes,
What do
in
you
Lagos,
think is the
what are the two
implication?
stations?
Yes, sir. What do you think is the implication of this on broadcasting, considering the history of broadcasting in Nigeria, with a lot of iconic persons going into that field and making a lot of additions to the broadcasting in the country? Do you think that is more of a leverage for the broadcasting industry, as a matter of fact, considering the way people are bastardizing the job of broadcasting, the way they are acquiring licenses for radios, and at the same time coming with different unprofessional principles and ideologies about broadcasting? Do you think that is going to be any leverage for broadcasting as a whole, sir?
Yes, if you look from history, before 1992, radio, television were exclusively owned by government, whether federal or state. So by 1992, under the portfolio leadership of Prince Sonimon, who was the minister, we decided to have what they call Nigerian communication policy. And therefore, we have what they call the communication policy of 1992, which Ibrahim Babangida approved to what? To unbundle, to create a venue where we have private ownership of radio and television stations in Nigeria, to break the monopoly of government on radio and television. So now they open now for private ownership to come. And after 1992, that's what the deregulation policy, the first indigenous radio station owned by late Chief Raymond Dokosi Ray Power came into being. That's the first privately owned radio. Then later on, AIT, African Television came in, Channel Television, and the like. So the monopoly now was broken, and more people are coming into the field. And then you are asking me, is it not bad for them to have ministers? No. If you look at the Constitution under Chapter 2, Fundamental Objectives on State Policy.
State policy.
If you look at Section 22 and 39, it gives you the freedom to own and operate radio station without hindrance. And it's a section of our freedom to have radio and television, because information is power and communication is the empowerment. And the other name for any sustainable democracy is the free press. There cannot be any free press without, and there cannot be any democracy without a free press. So the other name for democracy is a free press that serves as the engine that creates the engine of democracy. So we need more radio and television stations. Nigeria has more than 250 million people, and some areas have not been given. Proliferation, yes, there's control. At one level, controlled by the media organization, you have professional ethics, what you can do, what you cannot do. They have the regulator, that's National Broadcasting Commission, who will police you to make sure you are doing the right thing and many other things. And since 1992, from my last research, I will find out that there is what I call ownership pluralism as against content pluralism. And that is to say, there are more people on radio and television stations, but many of them are saying the same thing. So what we are advocating for now is what we call content pluralism, diversities in the content. So we now have abundance of radio television stations, which is ownership, pluralism, diversities.
Please, can we all mute ourselves except Prof? Please, I'm sorry, sir. Someone is distracting us with his video. You can go ahead, sir. I've muted.
So what we'll be advocating for is that now we have ownership pluralism. We as the journalists will be talking about content pluralism because they are saying, most of them are saying the same thing. So with the culture of Nigeria and with the diversities of Nigeria, we need to have more radio television stations. For instance, in those states, how many community radio stations that are operating? Apart from commercial radio stations, we, that is myself and the Media Rights Agenda and other things, we started, and Mr. Akin Bulu started advocating for community radio. At the moment, at that time, government was insensitive. We have no community radio. What we have was regional radio and national radio. There was no community radio. But as only that time, Ghana has almost 15 community radio stations. Burkina Faso, about 10. Togo here, about 5, and so on and so forth, until we were able to push, and now we have community radio. Community radio is radio that is established on terms of community of interest. That is to say, a community of bankers can own radio station community, a community of association of farmers or women, and they can own radio, and that's why we have so many FM that's coming on now on community radio. And their price is lower than the commercial radio. It's also lower than our own, the special category of broadcast as the university wants. The commercial people are higher than us, and we're higher than community. For instance, in Idari, we should have a community radio. It's the right time we should have a community radio. We should not depend on Positive FM in Akure, or Orange FM, or OSBC, and so on. The community as a whole should have 1 or 2 community radio. I think, in the town, they have community radio at the moment over there. And that's to be owned and run by the community. And people, let me give you the importance of community radio. I was privileged to go to Ghana, and there's a radio we call Radio Ada. It's owned by a retired professor of mass communication in Kwame, Professor Kwame. He has a small radio station in Ada. Ada is about 35 miles from Accra, Ghana. And what did they do? They specialize in selling watermelon. So they started broadcasting. So at one day, robbers came to the village.
Yes, sir.
And all their goats, and packed them into the truck. And as they were going, the hunters saw them, and they wanted to stop them. They couldn't stop them. And Radio Universe, Radio Accra cannot broadcast that kind of thing. But Radio Ada, the community radio now, summoned an announcement on Radio Ada, the community radio, mobilized all the farmers within that community. And there's only one road that leads from that community to the main road. So the farmers now went with their Dane gun, well armed, and went to block the only road that leads to the High Express. So when the rogues, the thieves, got to that community and they were about to get into the main road, the farmers started shooting their game gun. So the thieves abandoned their vehicle, the goat and the ram and the watermelon, and ran away. And therefore, they were able to recover their goat and ram and watermelon. You can see the importance of community. Radio Accra will not carry that one. Radio Universe in Accra will not carry that, but community will carry it. Also in Sierra Leone, the community radio was used to mobilize people for election and also to release the results of elections. So it's about time Nigeria to invest on community radio for the betterment of people. And therefore, I want to submit that the current radio stations we have, which last count was about 171 in number, 1,700, but it is not enough. They are not enough for to add value and color and glamour to what is happening in Nigeria, 36 states and the federal capital. So it is not an aberration, and nobody is going to abuse it. Then the NBC has its own code. For instance, some people have been given license after 3-5 years. You don't go on the air. They will cancel the license and give it to somebody who is ready to go on the air. But the point we are asking for is for the government to unbundle the approval, give it to Nigerian Broadcasting Commission rather than waiting for the president. The constitution and only the president alone can approve the license for commercial radio and television in this country. It was done during the army when they had nothing to do. Nothing to do. But now we have a president has so many to do, so many on his head. So therefore, that power now to National Broadcasting Commission to start screening, approval, and give license to radio and television in this country. And then the amount they are paying for the renewal, for instance, having a radio station, commercial radio, to renew your license, you pay 15 million. If it's a television, you pay 20 million every five years. And they are not having revenue. Most of the media stations are more or less distressed. That's what you read in my article of last week. I was appealing to Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to give palliative to the media industry so they can stay afloat. You take, for instance, you go to the industry at the moment. I don't know about your home, but you go to the industry. You have reporters. 3 reporters are going to cover events in 2 different in Lagos. Say some in Ikeja, some in VI, some in Ajah. They will be asked to take one car. One person will drop, and the other one will go to the other one. And they may only have one camera. So that one in Ikeja will wait until they finish that one in Ikeja before it goes to VI. And when they finish that VI, it goes to Ajah. It is not acceptable. Cameras are very expensive. High definition camera is over 2 million naira now. The newspapers print are becoming very expensive. And therefore, people are not, the advertising revenue is going down. Cover price is not enough to sustain the newspapers. Leadership is not acceptable.
So therefore, sir, thank you so much for that one.
To give palliative to the media industry so that they can be able to cope because of the essential part, the essential role the media can play in sustainable democracy. And the government should not take the media for granted. They should be able to give them relief in terms of waiver for instance, the newsprint. They have to import newsprint. $1 now is 1,100, 200 naira to $1. So therefore, it's an amount of opportunity for us, for government to extend palliative to the media, and so that they can stay afloat. So the second part of your question is that not dangerous if you allow more people to come to the see the atmosphere is big enough for all birds to fly without any collision with one another. In the same way, the sea is large enough for all the fish to swim without any collision with one another. It's only the wicked fish or the wicked bird that we want to collude with other things. So they should give more licenses to radio and television stations so that we'll be able to cover Nigeria and add value to the development of Nigeria. So our radio station and campus radio stations is our wish and our objective that we are going to use the radio and the television for campus, university, polytechnic station to add value, glamour, and color to the pedagogical purity of our profession of journalism. And you understand that the journalists will continue to remain as the what I call trustees of the public trust. And
Wow. Thank you so
anything
much.
less than that is a betrayal of that trustship. Therefore, look at my lecture titled Fourth Estate of the REM or Fourth Estate of the REC. That publication of mine classified that Nigerian journalism will continue to remain as members of the Fourth Estate of the REM. But in recent times, if you look at what has happened, especially during the election of 2019 and 2023, some of the watchdogs did not watch well. They did not bark when they are supposed to bark. They did not bite when they are supposed to bite. And as a matter of fact, some of them have been contaminated, have infected with rabies, and therefore they need anti-rabies. And therefore, when you fail to perform your task as a member of the Fourth Estate of the REM by not adhering to the rules, regulation, the code of conduct, you metamorphose to the second level, then you become members of the Fourth Estate of the REC. That's why in my last presentation about last week, I said some Nigerian journalists are no longer members of the Fourth Estate of the REM, but they are now members of the Fourth Estate of the REC. And what is that? And they don't only REC themselves, they REC the professional affiliation they belong, such as the NUJ, Guild of Editors, and the like. They also REC the community where they serve, and they also REC the population of the country where they serve. So it is in our own interest for the NUJ to try to police their ranks by making sure that we have many journalists who now try to practice journalism of conscience. But if you
Please, sir, I'd like to ask a question. I'd like to ask a question from that point you raised, sir. Recently, there's this latest phenomenon that crept into journalism, which is citizen journalism. You've talked about the fact that there's a particular aspect of journalism that has to do with the RECs. So would you say citizen journalism that crept into our world of journalism can be said to be part of the REC currently? Because
yes, I have a name for those ones. If you recall, the owner of Facebook, Sika Brock, was in Nigeria. And at that assembly I was there, we asked him, owner of Facebook, do you practice journalism or not? He answered us in that hall that he does not practice journalism. He was providing a platform for people to disseminate information as fast as possible at no cost. So he says, no, he wasn't practicing journalism. And that's why the so-called citizen journalists are not journalists. They don't practice journalism. What do they practice? They practice what I call journalists. What do you call them?
But a platform like Sahara Reporters that has exposed a lot of criminal people.
They are information processors. And because of the damage they can do, you know what I call them? You know what I call them? I call them information traffickers. Information traffickers. They're information traffickers. They traffic in falsehood. And they can damage the corporate existence of the country. Look at what happened in Rwanda. Look at what happened during the President Buhari's regime. To the extent that a sitting governor was using the social media, which government is that they are not social media, they are social platform. So when we call them social media, we are upgrading them. They are social platform, they are not social media. When you put media into their name, then you have elevated them. That's why we have complexities and confusion in the coverage of what they do. So I don't call them social media, I call them social platform. And
so I'd like to ask a question. I like to
Yes.
buttress my question, sir.
If you look at
You
if
talked
you
of,
look at what happened during the regime, they came out
hmm,
that President Buhari was in intensive care and was in on sitting governor said was he has 11 pictures of Buhari on life support, and that if President returns to Nigeria in peace, he will commit suicide. Unfortunately for this governor, President Buhari came back and started working until when he finished his term on May 29, 2023. And that governor has not committed suicide. That's the handiwork of the social media, the information traffickers, which
hmm,
the damage they can cause. And some people now at one point said President Buhari was no longer that is the clown him. And I told a friend I went with Nigerian Media Merit Award, and we should come with President Buhari. When I came back to, I said, I saw him, but I should come. He said, that's not. I said, I called me. So you can see the damage the social media can do. And the social media platform, if care is not taken, is now trying to metamorphose into become social disorder. As some members
hmm.
of the fourth estate of the realm are now becoming members of the fourth estate of the rec. So some members of the social platform are now metamorphosing to social disorder, and that is not acceptable. And you ask, how do we control the excesses of this social platform? It is not possible for us to stop them. Are they going to kill the mainstream media? The answer is no. Can the government promulgate decree to ban them? If the experience of Elijah Mohammed, I know it's not possible. And from my last research, about 30 nations of the world try to promulgate law to ban the so-called social media. But they have not been successful because very hard to implement. It's not achievable because on one hand, the fundamental human rights, and on the other hand, the freedom of the press, the freedom of association, the freedom of speech. So then what do? We can reduce it. Wow. By appealing to the mainstream media uh, uh, to wake up from their slumber and vigorously send information early and on time to counteract the posting of these social platform people. Two,
Please, sir,
we can
to buttress
we can
my
also
question,
control
I
through the
like to ask if citizen journalists can be rated with
service provider
considering your
can also
perspective
help
about
us
it.
service service provider can also help us regulate it. But for you to stop it, it is not possible. But we can reduce the damage and the platform they do. Okay, look at
Hmm.
what happened recently in the social media about governance.
Yes, sir.
Eh?
Hmm.
Because it caused disaster and disharmony. So the appeal is for the mainstream media to wake up from their slumber and work out, and they have to work simultaneously with the so-called social media. And the irony of this thing, my brother, the posting by so-called social media are faster in terms of delivery, and a lot of people believe them even over and above mainstream, which is funny. I don't believe them. What I do, I read something on them, I will go and counteract to cross-check with the mainstream. Because
Hmm.
the social media, the social media or social platform, they have no identifiable radio station or television station. They have no identifiable anchor man or woman. They don't have identifiable news editor and news correspondent. They can post anything on their platform, and you can use your name, your head,
Hmm.
on the post. They are
Hmm.
information traffickers
Hmm.
and not journalists. They are journalists.
Thank you so
Yes.
much, sir. Thanks for that wonderful contribution.
And
At this point, I'd like to just chip in a question before I allow my friend to come around and push some other few questions we have, so that we could quickly conclude the program this evening. because we are aware of the fact that Prof has a lot of engagements and we not want to tie him down with this interview. But I like to ask those questions because a lot of young people are going to listen and watch this interview. And they like to be inspired by the perspectives we've shared with us this evening. But there's a particular one because you did journalism at a point when young people were not even driven by journalism, especially when it was not really attractive as at that time. You showed interest in it. A lot of young people as at then would have shown interest in the law, they would have shown interest in medicine and some other popular courses. So I just like to ask that what actually motivated you to explore journalism, and what would you say became your fulfillment at the end of the day? Because I like to know how you feel each time you remember the fact that you happen to be the first Nigerian to become a professor in this particular course. What kind of spirit actually motivated that perspective out of you? And would you say you are proud of the decision you took some couple of years ago as at today? That's my question, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes.
Has become a professor of communication before me, but as a professor of journalism has come. And let me tell you the work of a journalist. The work of a journalist is on the continuum. If you're looking for money, that's not a profession for you. If you want to add value, color, glamour to the pedagogical purity or lifestyle of your community, then you want to become a journalist. Because truth is cornerstone of good journalism. Journalism will take you to places. I just told you I've visited almost everywhere in the world, from Singapore to the end of the world, New Zealand, Auckland. Journalism taking me there. And then some places where rich people can't enter, by the fact that you're a journalist and you are representing the public, you go there. As a journalist now, where politicians cannot enter the Aso Rock, as a journalist you are accredited, you go there and talk to Mr. President and ask him questions, because part of the obligation as captured by Chapter 22 to monitor government and make government accountable to the people at all times. And once you have accepted to serve as a president, a governor, or chairman of local government, or a VC, you have lost part of your right to be let alone. So what you do is of public interest, and therefore you must be reported. And therefore, journalism is one of the professions that you not only continue to practice while alive, you also practice it when you go to heaven. And when I teach Mass 101 to my students, telling them the importance of journalism, I said, listen, I asked them, how many people have gone to heaven? And they said, no, none of them. How many people would like to go to heaven? Everybody raised up their hand. I said, that's good. I said, in heaven, there will not be any need for policemen and women, because everybody will be orderly. I said, in heaven, there will not be any need for lawyers, because there will not be any litigations. I said, in heaven, there will not be any need for politicians, either politics for bitterness or politics without bitterness. And I add, and I tell them, in heaven, there will not be any need for immigrations and customs and exiles, because there will be free movement and there will be multiple entry visa for people in heaven. But in heaven, there will be need for journalists and communicators. Why? Because the people living in the northern part of heaven who want to know what happens to their counterpart in the southern part of heaven. So also the people living in the western part of heaven who want to know what happened to their counterpart in the eastern part of heaven. So you will continue to report, not even on earth, you continue to report while in heaven. So this position has been politicized by me to the extent that the former governor of Ogun State, His Excellency Olusegun Osoba, is so happy, so particular about it. Whenever he goes there, he cites it for people to understand that you continue to report. Because practice journalism, not on earth, also in heaven. It's a profession that is glamorous. It's a profession that is worthwhile. It's a profession that has high risk, but at the end of the day, you add value. Look at what that Mr. Abudu had done. The person who unveiled that you can get a degree in any discipline in University in Cotonou or Togo in 6 weeks. The journalists, after they don't go get journalism degree there, they went out to go and use fake certificate issued by this university to do what? To go and serve NYC. And many more. And because he was able to do investigative journalism, the government did not waste time. What have they done? They set out investigation to that thing. To the extent that it's not limited to Congo, to Togo or Republic of Benin. They have added some West African universities and even Eastern universities like University of Kenya, Uganda. They've added South Africa. They've added so many universities. So the same thing in Nigerian universities, also private universities now is going to be probed. It's the work of journalism. That's the journalism of conscience. It was risky, and you can hear the journalists who feel said, government, you please protect my network. Because when people are trying to cover up, journalists trying to uncover. And so we cannot be friends. That's why I tell the government when they say journalists are your partner in progress. It is assumed worldwide that not in Nigeria, in all in America, that government try to conceal information. And by our training as journalists, we are to uncover. And when government is trying to cover up, we are trained to uncover. And so when you are trying to cover up and trying to uncover, we cannot be friends. But however, we can be journalists, we still remain what I call the loyal opponents. To uncover the corruptions in society. Look at the trend that is going on about Minister of Humanitarian. It's the work of journalists that have been following up the stories and so on and so forth. So, if you want to be a journalist, you have not missed the road. And not everybody will go to be practicing law or medicine. In fact, I have some friends whose sons and daughters became doctors, and now they have left profession. They are now in business and doing other things because some of them will japa and go. But journalists will remain to clean up the corruption in society and make sure that we have a free society to live, and also to allow and be and to continue to be the voice for the voiceless. And you ask me what have I contributed? I've also been able to lick town with gown. I, without prejudice, with due respect, as the first professor to go out of the university to go and work in the newspaper, I established the Community Concord. I worked with MK Abiola to establish the Community Concord. I also worked as the consultant for the Punch newspaper, for the Concord newspaper, and the Guardian newspaper, and also I was editorial officer for the Anchor newspaper and many other newspapers, and also tried to work with some radio stations and television stations, including AIT, Dark Communication, Channel Television, and the like, as a consultant. So I try to live down with gun. And I told some of my friends, when they go out on sabbatical, they will leave university and go to university or to a polytechnic. It doesn't make any sense. When lawyers leave the university on sabbatical, they go and practice in another chambers. Why not journalists be allowed to go into the newsroom? That's our chamber. So when UNILAG was not trying to do that, I now protested that this is my sabbatical. I'm not going to any university to spend my sabbatical. I'm not going to any polytechnic to spend my sabbatical. I'm going to the industry. And that's why I went to Concord newspaper. And getting there, I was made the editor-in-chief of the Community Concord. I started the Community Concord in all the various countries, states of the nation. And from there, we tried to make our own contribution. So I challenge also the NUJ and the Guild of Editors to allow their people to come to the classroom and the lecturers and to come to the newsroom. If you notice that time you probably went to school,